think about the last big recession, right? The Great Recession. What kind of companies really came out of that and really boomed? Tesla, like Facebook, like these companies exploded out of the recession. So recessions, yes, they are challenging, but they are almost always the source of the next great leaders in an industry. So if you are looking to build a business, you will have the opportunity to pick up the business from other people that didn't manage it well.
Welcome back to Kim Daily TV. Today we're going to be interviewing Chris Larson. Chris is an investor coach. He helps people build cash flowing assets, not unlike franchises. The difference between what Chris does and what the Daily Coach does is most of his investments are passive investments for his investors. Chris Larson, welcome to the conversation.
Kim, thank you so much. I wore my excited hat because you brought the energy to my podcast and I wanted to bring a little extra to yours. So
Chris and I are friends. I'm actually an investor with Chris. And Chris, the name of Chris's podcast is called Next Level Income. So I want to make sure we get that plug in there for you. So, Chris,
thank you.
before we talk
Yeah.
a little bit today, I thought it would be fun to bring you into a conversation about kind of the moment we're in right now. Like, recession conversations are happening everywhere. I know
Yeah.
with my candidates, inflation, we've got crazy gas prices, and how these things should or should not affect an investor's mindset.
Yes.
So, before we dive into that, though, let's tell the audience a little bit more about what you do and the kind of investors that you coach.
Thank you for that, Kim. Yeah, so we have a coaching program. We also work, like you mentioned, Kim, with investors, with investments. So Next Level Income was founded to give investors both the education and the opportunities to achieve financial independence. And you can get a free copy of our book at nextlevelincome.com. Just click on the book link. I even send your listeners here a copy for free, Kim. So yeah, what we do, we focus on real estate syndications. So we go out, our group, and we find apartments, self-storage, mobile home parks, hotels, and even car washes. We built a car wash team over the last year, and we give investors the chance to come in, join us as investors on these deals, but do it in a passive manner. So if you're a business owner, if you're a high-income professional, if you're doing well, you enjoy what you're doing, but you want to build up additional passive income streams. And by the way, investing in your 401k, creating, this nest egg that maybe you can touch when you're 59 and a half. That's very anxiety producing for a lot of people. What we focus on is giving you predictable, reliable monthly cash flow so that you can build that financial security blanket for yourself.
So you're never actually retiring to where, okay, no more money's coming in. Now I'm
Yep.
withdrawing what I've saved. You're building a portfolio of assets that will just continue to build cash flow from you. It's so different from how the vast majority of people, especially people who've worked W-2 jobs most of their career, have thought about saving for retirement. It's the anti like strategy, if you will.
Yes. So what I like to say is, listen, Dave Ramsey does a great service. He provides a lot of financial education, but he teaches financial education for the poor people. And what I mean by poor, I'm being very liberal with that. But if you want to have an abundant lifestyle, you need to be making six figures, 100, 200, $300,000 a year. So what we do is we teach the strategies of the rich. Number one and number two ways that families become rich, really rich. We're talking like $100 million plus. Number one is what you do, Kim, is business, building businesses. Number two is real estate. So if you want to build a portfolio, if you want to build a family business, if you want to build long-term wealth and a legacy for your family, we can help you do that on the real estate side.
This is something that I learned many, many years ago. And like Chris just said, in a portfolio owned by an investor, oftentimes there's a business or multiple businesses, hopefully franchises, but then also some of these passive investments, which is like what I have in my total portfolio. So now let's talk a little bit about the timing of these investments. You mentioned some industries. Look, in franchising, I'm telling my people here on Kim Daily TV, there are industries that, regardless of what's happening in the economy, are booming, like home services, anything in like a trade is booming and has been booming since 2020, since the pandemic. Beauty brands are another thing. People think, really? And I'm like, yes, women, we never stop spending money on ourselves, right? So if you color
You know
your
what?
hair, if
You're
there's a
right. My wife does
recession,
not. Yeah, and I like that. So yeah.
yeah, if you color your hair, well, recession or no recession, you're coloring your hair. You're doing your nails. There are certain things that we're always going to spend money on. And so with your investors and the strategy and coaching that you're offering, how does a recession impact or not impact their decision to jump in now?
I love this. I love this question. I love this topic. We actually just produced our 100th podcast episode,
Wow,
and I
congratulations.
talked all about this. Thank you. I talked all about where we are in the real estate cycle, and I'm not going to get into the details here, but real estate goes
Because you
in
can go to the
18.
podcast. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's about a
Next
half an
level
hour.
income.
Yeah, it's about a half an hour. So, but I talk about the 18 and a half year real estate cycle. And the economy goes in 14-year cycles up, 4-year cycles down. And you can go back through history into the early and mid 1800s in this country and look at that, and you can challenge my thesis here. But what that means is, okay, where are we today? We are coming up towards the end of the second 7-year part of that 14-year cycle. So 2 7-year cycles. People would say, wait, 14 years up, Chris, we just went through the pandemic. That was a recession. Yes, it's two separate 7-year cycles with a mid-cycle slowdown in the middle. And that happened to be the pandemic. Last time this happened, it was 9/11. And it's kind of wild how these big events tend to happen around these mid-cycle slowdowns. But what we find in history is they tend to mark the mid-cycle slowdowns. They aren't necessarily the causes of them. They overlap with them. And again, you can go back and look through history and challenge my thesis if you'd like. But we're coming towards the second half of the second 7-year cycle, which is almost always the best, the highest and best real estate market, the highest stock markets. But you have to begin preparing for the downturn. What do I like to do when I'm coming into this part? Well, first off, you want to be invested because you don't want to miss out on the best years, but you want to focus on high quality cash flow producing assets like businesses, things that make people feel good during times that might not be so great. It's not that expensive to color your hair. It's not that expensive to pay for a $20 membership at a car wash where you're like, hey, I feel really good. I got my car wash this week. That's a small indulgence. $5 a week. That's not that bad for things like that. Real estate, like apartments, like multifamily, like you and I have talked extensively about, Kim, people always need a place to live. Multifamily and real estate is also a great place during inflationary times because rents go up, that raises the value of these properties. So even though interest rates are going up, rents are going up as well, and that helps offset some of this inflation. So real assets like businesses, like real estate, are really good during inflationary times. Cash flow producing assets are great if the economy slows down. And the last thing I'll add is you want to be building your cash supply so you can take advantage of any opportunities over the next 5 to 10 years. And I think you probably know my favorite place to do this, which is cash value life insurance, because you don't want your cash just sitting in the bank when inflation's at 8, 10, 15%. You want it continually working for you. And that's one of the strategies that I personally like to use for that.
Okay. So you're not giving any advice to slow down on investing at this time. You mean you feel like we still have some good growth years ahead of us?
I do, and I think a lot of people might find that controversial. Some people may be shaking their heads saying, Chris, you're crazy. But again, historically, what we found is that the second half of that second 7-year cycle is the best for investors. However, there's what's called the winner's curse. And that is you come towards the end and people think, well, hey, we went through the pandemic, we went through inflation, we went through high gas prices, all these, the world was crashing down. And look how great the stock market and real estate has done. It came through. And that's where people say things like the stock market always goes up, real estate prices always go up. No, you need to be cautiously optimistic, and while you're investing, you also need to be steadily building up cash as well as cash flow, because cash flow is king during recessionary periods. Cash flow.
I love it, but that's good advice no matter what, right? So the fear when people come to me and they're thinking about, oh, is now the right time to invest in a business, if we are going into a recession. So let's just go there for a minute is it's okay to go in during a recession. You're just going to learn like in the hardest time of owning a business. But if you plan to be a business owner, there's never a good time to jump in. Like you just have to decide and jump in. And the whole idea in a franchise is that you're in business for yourself but not by yourself, so there's a team of people around you who hopefully have weathered other recessions, who have the tools, who can coach, and I wanted to use the word comfort, who can comfort those new
Yeah,
first time owners, right? Because a lot of times
absolutely.
it is just sort of like comforting the fear. Like I saw the leadership during 2020 with some of the franchises that I work with was just unprecedented, but most of that leadership was like comforting people's fears, making them okay for feeling that, but like, hey, we're together in this. We've got you. And I think that even if we are going into a recession, a little different from what, you're saying right now, which I hope you're right, but if we are,
Well, there will be a recession. There will be a recession. The question is, when will it come?
the
Right? Yeah.
timing.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's still okay if you're at this place in your life where you're done with your W-2 job. You're looking for other opportunities to build cash flow for yourself. Chris is a great coach and advisor. So, how do you actually work with your clients? Let's talk a little bit about that, and if somebody wants to reach out to you, Chris.
Yeah, so first off, thank you for that. And again, um, I think you made a really great point. And the point of coaching, what we do with our coaching program is we provide the plan, the resources, and the accountability. You're talking about that comfort, that accountability, Kim, of people that have already been through that chapter of the book, so to speak. So, if you're fearful, if you're like, oh, I'm not really sure, I will tell you this. Think about the last big recession, right? The Great Recession. What kind of companies really came out of that and really boomed? We're talking about companies like Tesla, like Facebook, like these companies exploded out of the recession. So recessions, yes, they are challenging, but they are almost always the source of the next great leaders in an industry. So if you are looking to build a business, if you build a robust, bulletproof business, and that all has to do with managing your cash flow and your resources, you will have the opportunity to pick up the business from other people that didn't manage it well. So it actually can be the best time to start a business. But yes, we provide the plan, we provide the resources, and we provide the accountability with our coaching program for investors. If you're a good fit for our investor club, I encourage you to do, if you're interested, is go to our website, nextlevelincome.com, click on the invest link, and you can schedule a time to speak with me. We can talk about your situation and if this is a good fit for you. But what we do is we provide these opportunities. So again, as we find investments that make sense for us and our investors, we offer them to our investment club, and the investors get to participate right there alongside of us in these stable institutional quality cash flow investments.
So Chris isn't just an advisor who's like telling you what to do. He's doing it with you. This guy is a lifestyle coach. That's probably the best way to describe Chris Larson. Is that a true statement, Chris?
I like to say performance coach, and yeah, I work with a lot of high income earners, a lot of business owners, and we don't give investment advice per se, but we do help you build out a plan so you can have that passive income and you can have that ultimate plan for financial independence.
Yeah, and when I say lifestyle investor, I'm just talking about freedom, right? And that's
Absolutely,
what
I love
every
it. That is the best
I
way to
don't
put it.
care who
Maybe I'll
out there
change.
is.
Yeah, freedom coach. Maybe that's what I should start calling myself.
Exactly. That's what we all are in what we do because I don't care no matter where the candidate is coming from, like either owning a business to starting to think about franchising or they've been in W-2, every single person I meet at the core of what they say to me, however they say it, it's freedom. It's financial freedom, it's personal freedom, it's the freedom to live the life that you want to live. And Chris is an expert at that. He walks his talk.
I try. We love where we live here in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm taking my boys to lacrosse tournament again this weekend. I'm going to be riding my bike with my son here this afternoon. So we work hard, we play hard, and we try to make sure that we prioritize those things that are special in our life.
Here on Kim Daily TV, my mission is to help investors out there to dream bigger, to understand the truth behind investing and franchising, and even in investments like what Chris is offering to you. I hope that this interview has inspired you. And really, the goal of this conversation, the reason I wanted to bring Chris on was just to help people understand that when you step off of that diving board, when you take the leap to an uncomfortable place, there are people out there who know what you don't know, who are here to help you. And we genuinely care about your success. Chris is one of those people. That's why I chose him. I've met a lot of people who do what Chris does. That's why I chose to be an investor with Chris, because I could tell right away that his Christian values, his heart, his servant leadership is in it. He's in it for me. And that made all the difference to me. And I know that he can be that coach for you if you're looking to build some cash flowing assets that don't require your time, unlike a franchise business. Thank you so much for being my special guest today, Chris Larson.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And yeah, like Kim said, don't make the mistakes that I did. Learn from my 15 years of experience before I kind of figured it out. Learn from my over 2 decades of investing in real estate. Get a free copy of my book at our website. And let me know if there's something that I can help you with.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Until next time, my name is Kim Daly, and I want to be your daily coach.